After a very strange dream, Simon can't get back to sleep, so makes a rare appearance in the breakfast room of the boarding house. Sitting satisfied with a full English breakfast inside him, Simon's momentary peace is crashed by Archie's bullish entrance into the dining room and the announcement that Simon is just the person he wanted to see. Archie accompanies Simon and Eric to the local park and then blows Simon's mind with the startling disclosure that he is a bank robber on the run after a recent job. Apparently he returned most of the money from the robbery, but held back some for himself, which he has buried on a remote island off the Scottish coast. He explains he has half of the British police force looking for him, plus most of the criminal underworld, so he can't retrieve the money himself. That's where Simon comes in. No one will be looking for Simon. No one will follow Simon. After leaving Eric with Sophie, Simon's estranged wife, he sets off on his adventure. It was 7 o'clock, and the morning sun shone through a gap between the curtains. For the second time in 2 consecutive days, I had woken feeling excited. I didn't want to move. I didn't want to risk spoiling this sensation. As well as feeling excitement, I was aware that I desperately needed to pee. But even this was not enough to motivate me to leave the warmth of my bed. A song suddenly popped into my head. The voice of Engelbert Humperdinck played over and over. "Please release me, let me go," the iconic 60s hit. It appeared that even my bladder had a sense of humour this morning. I turned to Eric. He was lying like the Sphinx, 4 paws parallel and stretched out in front of him, his head high and proud and a twinkle in his eye. Although an animal of habit, he had quickly adapted to the prospect of early morning walks, an opportunist, always ready to take advantage of the faintest glint of outrageous fortune. His stare was stoical and unchanging. I knew he could keep this up indefinitely and wear me down. Resistance was futile. He would always win. I got out of bed and dressed while he watched me impassively and quietly triumphant. After a brief visit to the toilet, I brushed my teeth, then picked up his lead. As we walked in the park, Eric's eyes blazed with excitement. But this time my eyes were different also. I smiled to myself. Just 24 hours ago I had made a life-changing decision in this very park. I decided to break the law, not through any rebellious need or personal greed, but because the world had been denying me any success or happiness lately, and the only helping hand was that of a criminal. He was the only person that actually needed me because of who I was and what I could offer. And yet the decision continued to take my breath away. I still couldn't believe I had agreed to accede to his request. Archie had gone through the plan with me yesterday afternoon. We had returned to my room and he had insisted on locking the door before he spoke. "Right. You realise you canna change your mind about this?" I nodded. "So, what do I do? I'm a bit new to this sort of thing. I suppose I can't tell anyone, I asked. Archie shouted in a whisper, straining his voice. No one! You can tell no one! Okay. I wasn't going to tell anyone. I was just checking, I reassured him. I felt like a child at a birthday party, but knew it would be uncool to show anything other than professionalism. However, I had no idea how a professional criminal behaves. Archie was the only criminal I was acquainted with, and somehow I knew he was probably not the best role model. I tried to recall British crime films, but realised that those characters were invented for entertainment rather than for being real. In my mind, Michael Caine was just about to say, "You're only supposed to blow the bloody doors off," when Archie interrupted my thoughts. "You have a car, right?" "Yes, just an old Fiesta, but it runs okay." "Well, you'll be able to buy yourself something much better after all of this, and you can move out of this shite hole," he said, looking around the room. He gave me a sat-nav that had been pre-programmed to the mysterious-sounding Fevig on the Scottish Isle of Lewis. I was to take the M1 out of London, changing to the M6 to Scotland. From there I would take various A roads to Ullapool, where I would catch the Stornoway Ullapool ferry to the Isle of Lewis. Archie also gave me written instructions from the port to the place where he had buried the treasure. The money was wrapped in black bin bags. There would be 5 of them. Therefore I was to take a spade and 2 large Holdalls. I was to leave the day after tomorrow. It sounded thrilling. After my meeting with Archie, I had gone out and purchased the Holdalls and a spade. That night I packed some clothes and toiletries. The envelope in my bedside cabinet contained £215. That should be enough, I thought. But I had my credit card should I need more. I now sat in my room, on the eve of my adventure, drinking a cup of Benson's hot chocolate and going over the plan. The trip was about 700 miles each way. I decided to break the journey with an overnight stay in Carlisle, about halfway. I guess it shouldn't be too hard to find a hotel. I laid everything out on my bed and checked it all again. Road map, check. Bag and Holdalls, check. Spade, check. I couldn't help feeling there was something I was forgetting. Eric walked over and sniffed the strange objects on the bed. He knew something unusual was afoot. He looked at me. "Don't worry, boy. Nothing terrible's happening." Eric continued to stare. What was he trying to tell me? What was I missing? Oh, shit. Eric! I hadn't arranged anything for Eric. I couldn't take him with me. He would get in the way and I wouldn't be able to take him to a hotel. Someone had to look after him. I left my room and knocked on Rebecca's door, then realised I hadn't seen her since my visit to her room nearly 2 days ago. I'd got tangled up in this Archie thing. I started to feel embarrassed that after such a nice evening I hadn't made any effort to see her again. I lost my nerve and turned towards my room, but realised that now I had knocked, I was committed. Any second now she would be at the door. What would I say to explain why I hadn't knocked before? And now that I'm calling on her, it's not to see her, but to ask a favour. I made a dash to my room, but Rebecca's door opened before I could get there. "Hello, stranger." "Hi, I thought you weren't in." "So where have you been?" she asked. I stammered, then said, "Sorry, I got caught up with some things. I did mean to come and see you, but I got..." "It's okay. Don't panic." "Do you want to come in?" she said kindly. "Thanks, but I've got an early start tomorrow." I hesitated. "I wanted to ask a favour." "Oh?" "I need to go away for a few days. I wondered if you could look after Eric." "Oh, I'd love to, but I'm going away as well. Sorry." "No, never mind. It was just a thought." Rebecca dropped her gaze to the floor, as if embarrassed. "Where are you going?" she asked. I was mesmerized by her embarrassment. What? She raised her head, but avoided looking me in the eye. "Where are you off to?" A strained Scottish whisper sounded in my head. "Tell no one." "Oh, just out of town. An interview. I have an interview for a job." "Really?" she said, and then smiled knowingly. I felt like a schoolboy being caught in a lie by his teacher. "Well, good luck with that," she said, turning back to her room. "Oh, and sorry about Eric. I would if I could." "Yes, of course, don't worry. I'll sort something out." Rebecca's hand was on the door, and it had started to close. "Rebecca," I said. She pulled the door open again. "Sorry, I'm so wrapped up in my own stuff at the moment. Where are you off to? Somewhere nice?" She laughed nervously. "No, nothing special. Just a favour for a friend." "Oh, right. Well, see you when we both get back then." She smiled and closed the door. I hadn't been that inept with a girl since my teens. I felt sure I was blushing. I arrived at Sophie's house later that evening. Eric was pulling excitedly at his lead. I knocked and stood back. Sophie opened the door, and Eric sprung at her, almost knocking her to the ground. She crouched down and cuddled him. I couldn't help feeling jealous of the reception he was getting. "How's my lovely boy?" She looked up. "What's this about?" I opened my mouth to answer, but was stopped by the sound of a male voice from within. "Everything okay, Sophie?" The owner of the voice was a tall man in jeans and a Pringle jumper. He walked towards us. "Everything's fine, John," Sophie said over her shoulder. "This is Simon." John extended his hand towards me and flashed overly whitened teeth. I ignored him and whispered to Sophie, "Who's this?" Sophie stood up and held Eric with one strong hand. "John, Simon, Simon, John." We looked at each other. A moment passed. "I'm Sophie's husband," I said. "Oh," John said, and covered his incandescent teeth with nervous lips. "Can I talk to you?" I said pointedly to Sophie. Then I looked straight at John. "In private?" Sophie seemed to be struggling as much with Eric's play-biting as social awkwardness. "Sorry, John. Could you give us a minute?" She nodded towards the front room. "Just a minute." John retreated into the house and shut the front room door. Sophie turned to me angrily. "Simon, you don't live here anymore. You can't just keep turning up unannounced." "Who the hell is that?" "A friend. It's really got nothing to do with you." "What? My wife is entertaining glitter teeth and it's nothing to do with me." "He's just a friend," she said defensively. I felt strangely more hurt that she referred to him as a friend than anything else. I had been her friend. We had been the best of friends. That's the thing I had always treasured the most. I had been in love with my best friend. Now, he was her friend? What did that mean? "Simon, what do you want?" "I have to go away for a few days. I wanted to ask you if you could look after Eric for me." "And you couldn't ask me on the phone?" "What? And miss meeting your new friend?" "Simon, there's nothing going on." "Where are you going?" I had never lied to Sophie. Whatever happened, we had vowed that we would never lie to each other. But now she had broken our pact of trust. She was seeing someone else and was being openly disingenuous about it. I felt no compulsion to be truthful. "An interview. I have an interview in Scotland." "Oh, that's great. How did that come about?" I not only found it easy to lie to her, but I was actually enjoying watching her swallow it. "They came to me. I guess I was headhunted," I said. I watched this last morsel go down. "So, can you look after him?" "How long will you be gone?" 2 or 3 days, probably. She smiled at me and touched my arm. "I'm really glad for you, Simon. I hope you get it." Her concern for my welfare took me by surprise. I felt a surge of discomfort in my gut. I wanted to tell her the truth, apologize for lying to her, but the words wouldn't come. "You go and get that job," she said. "Eric will be fine here." "Thanks," I said. I walked away from the house, fearful for the first time that being a criminal may not be as much fun as I first thought.